What if what you're avoiding isn't fear? It's truth. And what if your next move isn't action? It's stillness. I know that sounds backwards. We're taught to move fast, decide quickly, keep going. But the world doesn't show us the in-between. The moments where we're lost, raw, and waiting. Sometimes we don't even know what's happening right now, let alone what comes next. But here's the secret. Real strength lives in the pause. Truth isn't found in the hustle. It rises in stillness. If that resonates, you're in the right place. Welcome to Who Are You Now, the podcast for people in transition who are ready to create their most authentic life. We explore identity, truth, and change through the body, mind, heart, and soul. This season, we're doing something radical. We're not fixing anything. We're sitting with truth until clarity shows up. Season 1 was about awareness. Season 2 is about allowing truth to rise, even when it's messy. Stillness is different from a pause. A pause interrupts momentum. Stillness holds space. One stops you, the other invites you to listen. Be still, even when the world pushes for a solution. This isn't the season where you figure it all out or make the next move. This is the season where you stop pretending you don't already know. You're not here because something's broken. You're here because something inside you is ready. Not ready to perform or fix or prove. Just ready to be real, to stop performing and start becoming. This season asks, what if your clarity doesn't come from effort, but from presence? Stillness isn't popular. It's not sexy. No one claps when you pause. But stillness is where the world starts to make sense again. It's where the noise begins to separate from the signal. And it's where you remember who you were before life got loud. This season is about emotional safety, about witnessing what's no longer working, and about seeing what might be calling you forward, even if it's still a whisper. Where you learn to be with what's rising before you're ready to act on it. Where you let truth come into focus and trust that readiness follows. This season is not a how-to guide. It's a space to get honest with yourself and to trust that clarity will come, but only if you stop chasing it. We're addicted to fixing, pivoting, improving, to being the one that figured it out first. Hustle, productivity, self-help hacks, 5 steps to freedom. We've been trained to believe that if we're not moving, we're falling behind. But sometimes clarity only comes when we stop trying to find it. And truth doesn't live in the frenzy. Truth waits. It lives in the discomfort you try to bypass. The stillness you keep postponing, you'll say, I'll figure it out. But you can't figure your way to truth. You have to feel your way there. Stillness is uncomfortable, but essential. Especially for women raised to carry the emotional weight of everyone around them. We learned to perform worthiness. We learned to anticipate everyone else's needs before our own. You know, I used to confuse being busy with being alive. I thought if I kept moving, I wouldn't have to feel the discomfort creeping in. I filled my days with productivity, chores, errands, to-do lists, because silence felt threatening. But the truth was, I was scared to be still because I knew stillness would make me listen, and I wasn't ready to hear what it had to say. So when we finally try to pause, it feels wrong. But it's not wrong. It's necessary. Stillness is not failure. It's space. I've stopped trying to force decisions. Instead, I sit with what is until clarity rises on its own. Sometimes I even ask the universe to help me remember what I already know while I sleep. And often, I wake up with a new perspective or a quiet knowing that I didn't have the day before. You know what else helps process the noise without spiraling into overthinking? Walking. There's something about the rhythm of putting one foot in front of the other. The way your body moves forward while your mind unwinds behind it. It helps me sort through things without trying to sort through them. Almost like the body knows how to lead when the mind finally steps aside. Some of my clearest moments come not when I sit down to journal or analyze, but when I just move my body without a goal. No destination, no workout timer, just movement as medicine. That's when I hear things. That's when I remember truths I've buried under busyness. So if you're stuck, try walking. Let your body process what your mind can't hold. But one thing is for certain these days. I don't move forward with an action unless I have the clarity and the gut check that it is indeed my truth. I had to surrender more times than I can count. Sometimes it looked like burnout. Sometimes it looked like I'm done pretending this is okay. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're being invited to surrender. And most of us were never taught what surrender actually looks like. Surrender happens when we step out of fight, flight, or freeze. It happens when we acknowledge that something isn't working for us anymore. And it happens when we stop trying to fix it and finally feel what the body is trying to express. Surrender might feel like fatigue, like tension being released, like extreme sadness that leads to uncontrollable sobbing. Or you might even have a sudden clarity overcome you. Your physical body might feel heavier before it becomes lighter than you've ever felt. Your emotional body may become overwhelmed as you stop pushing away all the things you don't want to feel. The mental body finally becomes silent. Because for the first time, you aren't trying to fix anything. And your spiritual body is celebrating finally arriving at truth. I've lived this more than once. There were seasons I abandoned myself while trying to do everything right. The turning point? Surrender. Not collapse. Surrender. Letting the truth surface without shame or urgency. We tend to think surrender means collapse, But that's not true surrender. True surrender is full body consent. It's when your heart finally says, enough pretending. I want truth, not performance. And the body relaxes for the first time in a long time because it's finally aligned with what's real. The shift starts when we stop fighting what we already know. Let's talk about belief. I believe in parking karma. If you've ever ridden with me, you've heard me say it out loud. Parking, please. And the spot opens up. Doesn't matter if it's the busiest time of day. Someone pulls out as I'm pulling it. It never fails. Ask my kids. They do it now too. Why do I have parking karma, you ask? Because I believe it's possible. Are there certain things that you believe that is just lucky? What if it's not luck? What if it's alignment? If you believe love is chaotic, you'll keep accepting chaos. If you believe you're too much or not enough, you'll keep magnetizing people who confirm that. Your life is mirroring your beliefs. So start small. Where in your life do things flow easily? How can you lean into that belief just a little more? I believe in that kind of alignment, that kind of ease. When it comes to parking, anyway. But do I believe in financial abundance that easily? Do I believe in rest that way? Do I believe that clarity will show up just because I asked for it? Maybe. Not always. Because deep down, I still believe in struggle. I still think I have to earn it, prove it. And I work on this every day. I sit with it. I feel it. And I whisper new mantras to allow my old patternings to let go of its hold on me. Imagine if I could bring that same belief to money, to clarity, to love. Here's the contrast between my old versus new beliefs I've established. Old belief. Rest is laziness. New belief. Rest restores my creativity. Old belief. Money is survival. New belief. Money is support. Old belief. Love must be earned. New belief. Love meets me where I am. What would change for you if you truly believed life was always working for you, even in the waiting? Here's the truth. What you believe shapes what shows up. Not because it's magical thinking, but because belief creates alignment. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is shaped by the truth you choose to live by. The law of attraction doesn't respond to your wish list. It responds to your alignment. You attract what your nervous system says is safe. You attract what you believe is possible. You attract what you expect. This is why you can do all the work, but if you still believe love has to be earned, you'll keep chasing people who withhold it. If you believe money only comes through burnout, you'll keep grinding. Shifting your truth changes the signals you send out. And suddenly, different doors start opening. not because you hustled harder, but because you aligned differently. Not because the universe is some vending machine, but because the way you see the world shapes what you say yes to. Think about your current life like a mirror, not in judgment, but in reflection. Here's your homework. Ask yourself honestly, what in your life feels like a direct result of something you once believed about yourself? Good or bad? What beliefs are still operating under the surface, shaping your choices without your conscious awareness? Let the answers rise without forcing them. And when you're ready, release what no longer fits by aligning with the truth of who you are now. That's where freedom begins. What you believe creates the boundaries for what shows up. When you've done the work and your truth matches your present, something magical does happen. Boundaries don't feel so uncomfortable to hold. In fact, they don't really feel like boundaries at all. It's just truth. A simple yes that aligns with your values. A clear no that doesn't. Beliefs are the blueprint. Boundaries are the walls. And one of the hardest, if not the hardest things for humans to do is hold a boundary. You want to know why? Because you can set a boundary, but if the belief system underneath it isn't solid, it won't hold. It's not about discipline. It's about belief. Somewhere deep down, the belief isn't there. You don't believe you're safe to have that boundary, or you don't believe you're worthy of what's on the other side of it. I didn't actually believe I could ease up. Was it attached to my inherent worth? Absolutely. My subconscious belief system was that I was not worthy of the things I had or the life I had created unless I was grinding nonstop for it. So I tried to set boundaries about how much I was working, and I failed. Not because I didn't want the change, but because I hadn't sat in my truth long enough to rewrite the belief system beneath it. I had to completely change how I worked. And it didn't happen all at once. It happened in phases. I closed one location, then another. I built an entirely new business model, one that didn't weigh so heavily on my physical, emotional, and mental bodies. If I had done the inner work earlier, maybe I wouldn't have had to burn it all down. Or maybe I would have. Maybe my external world was just finally aligning to the truth my body already knew. But at least it would have come from a grounded place of belief, not exhaustion. Because when the belief is solid, the boundary doesn't wobble. It just holds. And now, my business model, it changes based on what I need. I shape it around what allows me to thrive instead of shaping myself around what it demands. Your body knows when a boundary is real. You'll feel it. The truth lands quietly, but clearly in the nervous system. If a boundary is aligned, you'll feel peace, even if it's uncomfortable. You might notice an opening in your chest, a sense of expansion. If it's not aligned, your gut will clench. You'll feel that constriction in your core, as if your body is saying, this will not be good for me. That's not failure. That's feedback. And the more solid your belief is, the less your boundary feels like a wall, the more it feels like alignment. So what happens when your belief system starts to change? When truth, not fear, becomes your compass, everything softens. It gets quieter. You stop chasing the plan. You stop measuring yourself by someone else's timeline. You stop running from the pause. You start choosing stillness. And with that, your choices become peaceful instead of performative. And that changes everything. Because when you stop reacting, you start listening. When you stop proving, you start trusting. And when you stop avoiding the truth, you start aligning with it. The old effort falls away and something clearer rises. When you stop chasing outcomes, you start noticing alignment. You stop measuring yourself by progress charts and start asking better questions. Does this feel true? Does this feel like me? Am I forcing this, or is it just unfolding? So just take a moment right now. Feel your feet. Feel your breath. Notice where your shoulders are. You don't have to do anything in this moment. Just be in it. That's where the truth lives. It doesn't yell. It waits. And when you make space for it, it rises. Soft at first, like a whisper. Then it builds into a quiet knowing that grows louder until it roars undeniably through your bones. You don't have to force the future. You just have to be here now. And what you'll find is that you stop needing the likes, the attention, the pats on the head. You'll stop asking what people think because your truth is the only one that matters. The need for external validation fades away when truth becomes your guide. Because peace is all the proof you need anymore. The truth isn't asking you to act. It's asking you to witness. And the more you witness it, the more the path reveals itself. And often you'll meet it first in stillness, not because you forced it, but because you finally chose to trust what's already within you. So maybe today isn't about action. Maybe it's about stillness. Maybe it's about letting the day speak to you and letting your own breath be enough. That's where the shift begins. Not in the doing, but in the being. If you're in a season of stillness right now, if you're sitting in the unknown, wondering what's next, you're not alone. You're not lost. You're listening. And if you stay in that stillness just a little longer, something will rise. Clarity is coming. But for now, this is where you are. And that's enough. Sometimes you just have to sit in truth long enough to hear it. Our shift has ended for today. I'll see you next week. Until then, be still and let it rise.